You're watching West Dakota Fox News at 9 with Anna Schleisman and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
In an effort to stop the spread of disease, Custer Health has created a needle exchange program. And tonight, the Morgan County Commission heard an update on how it's doing. The Good Neighbor Project, funded by donations and grant money, has given out more than 6,000 needles and received almost 5,000. And none of their 173 clients have newly contracted HIV. Commissioners voiced that they want more from the program.
Sobriety should ultimately be the goal 100% of the time, but incrementalism is not the enemy here either.
Compared to the cost of HIV treatment and hepatitis C treatment, we think that we're delivering a valuable service to the people of Mandan.
Custer Health will soon fulfill a community request for a kiosk to dispose of medical syringes. And legislators might return to Bismarck to change a section in the auditor's budget that requires them to sign off on certain audits. The news comes as a group of people are working on a referral petition for that bill and two others. Riley Kuntz of Dickinson says legislators overstepped, and he wants to protect the auditor's office.
Without him doing these audits and informing the public, we have no idea what's going on back behind the scenes.
Charles Tuttle, another citizen activist, says he's working on a constitutional initiative for the 2020 ballot to expand the auditor's reach and make the office fully independent. As teacher contract negotiations begin across the state, Mandan teachers may get a raise, which will hopefully attract new teachers. The proposal offers a $1,700 increase across the board for the 2019-2020 school year, a step increase, and $800 during the 2020-21 school year. A step is a salary increase based on how long someone has taught in a district. Governor Burgum challenged districts to increase teacher pay as the state increased per student payments.
Right around 50% of your dollars are going to compensate teachers. We are ahead of that. We've advanced that, and the percentage of new dollars that we're giving to our teachers. And again, that is a very direct thank you for their hard work and dedication.
School safety was not addressed in the agreement, but both sides are talking about it. And Governor Doug Burgum today appointed Erica Thunder as North Dakota Labor Commissioner. Thunder has been a judicial systems administrator for the North Dakota Indian Affairs Commission since the end of 2016, playing a key role in the Commission's substantial progress in strengthening tribal partnerships. Thunder says she's just taking it all in right now.
I'm very much in that listening and observing type of moment where I'm just getting to know strengths and needs, but it's a wonderful department. It's exceptionally strong.
Her appointment begins on June 3rd. And after going through the oil boom, other states are looking to Williston for advice on how to navigate the economic hardships that come with it. Oil production in the Permian Basin is rising rapidly, so Eddy County, New Mexico representatives attended Williston's State of the City address to see how they dealt with the influx of people and demand. They say Carlsbad's population jumps from 27,000 to around 100,000 during the week.
You can go into some of the stores and try to buy groceries on a weekend, and there's a lot of bare shelves.
Housing that is available is super expensive, so we're in the planning stage right now on how to deal with those issues.
They say they're impressed with how North Dakota has handled things and how the state has supported Williston. The Sun Country plane that was grounded 18 days ago is airborne again. The wing was damaged when it hit a bird as it was landing at Bismarck Airport. A Boeing crew arrived last week and the plane returned to Minneapolis on Tuesday after repairs were complete. A team is also working to identify what kind of bird it hit. Well, Henry, I'm certainly looking forward to the sunshine this weekend.
Yeah, most definitely. And not just that, a little bit of warmer weather will be underway. But for right now, wet weather across mainly northeastern Montana, but I'd like to start out with our Wilson Skywatch camera. You've got the cloud cover. We've got a little bit of return on First Warn Skytracker Doppler radar around and east of Williston. Much of that not reaching the ground, but where we are picking up on the shower activity is across northeastern Montana, northern Dawson County, into Richland and Roosevelt counties where the showers are coming down. Slight chance of precipitation will remain in the forecast for northwestern North Dakota, northeastern Montana for tonight, but don't expect much out of that. 50s for Wilson and Sidney. Elsewhere, we are in the 40s. Our wind remains light around 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow, we will be starting out with a little bit of cloud cover, calling it mostly cloudy as we wake up. Temperatures in the low to mid 30s with the south wind remaining light, 5 to 15 miles per hour. I'll have your complete forecast and more in just a few minutes.
Well, starting May 12th, the Broadway Bridge in Minot will be closed due to flood wall construction. The city will close the intersection on Broadway and 4th Avenue just north of the bridge for the safety of the contractors as they bring in sewer lines and other utilities to the construction site. Minot Public Works says without these closures, the utility work wouldn't get done until December. The bridge will likely reopen May 22nd. Police are investigating a report of an attempted child abduction in Rolla this afternoon. They say around 4:40, a man dressed in all black tried to grab an 8-year-old girl near the Rolla 31-plex apartments on Front Street East. The girl ran away and the suspect left in a white SUV with tinted windows. Call Rolla Police with any information. Police presence will increase at area schools in the meantime. And the Washburn man charged with 4 murders in Mandan won't have his preliminary hearing as scheduled next Tuesday. Instead, 44-year-old Chad Isaac will appear in court August 12th. He's being held on a $1 million bond, accused of killing 4 people at RJR Maintenance and Management on April 1st. The North Dakota Peace Officer Standards and Training Board has suspended 2 officers' licenses. Former Burleigh County Deputy Kerry Komrosky lost his license after pleading guilty to stealing drugs from evidence. And Williston Police Officer Brighton Dahl lost his after he was convicted of corruption or solicitation of a minor. And the Bismarck man, arrested after a 6-hour standoff with police last month, has 2 preliminary hearings scheduled for May 20th. 20-year-old Jaden Smith is charged with crimes including terrorizing and fleeing. Since the incident started in Morton County and ended in Burleigh County, he'll appear in court in both counties. And the man accused of opening fire at a synagogue in California faces 109 federal hate crime charges. Josh Ernest pleaded not guilty to state charges of murder and attempted murder after killing 1 woman and injuring an 8-year-old girl, her uncle, and the rabbi at the Shabbat of Poe on April 27th. In a separate case, he's accused of burning a mosque in Escondido. And a 12-year-old boy who survived the STEM school shooting in Colorado is brave beyond his years. He recounted the moments of horror as he heard the shooter get closer and the moments of courage as he prepared to protect his classmates. And Nate's dad is calling for change so that kids and teachers can feel safe at school. And students also pushing for change as they started chanting mental health and make negative comments towards the media after walking out of a vigil for the victims. Though it's not clear exactly why, it did happen while 2 lawmakers were speaking. Kendrick Castillo died while charging the shooter and 8 others were injured in the shooting. Well, North Dakota is working to strengthen the mental health of veterans who suffer from PTSD or other conditions. The Department of Human Services, the ND Cares Coalition, and Appalachian Consulting Group created military peer support training for veterans and their families.
We're people who are out in the agency, we're out in rural North Dakota, we're out in the cities where a possible person may not be able to get a said designated service, but they can get a hold of a person who's a peer.
They're training all week in Bismarck. And the state is also combating homelessness, and a transitional program that helped many is no longer. Ruth Myers Hospitality House ended their program in March when they became an affordable living facility ran by Lutheran Social Services. Charisse Ronas with Bismarck Public Schools says she knows a lot of families that could have used the transitional program once they were evicted or displaced.
We have seen a lot of families since Easter, for whatever reason, that were displaced after that weekend. And so we have been trying to figure out different avenues, different places for them to go.
Rones is trying to utilize other resources to help families and children finish out the school year. And the social media search for a man who left his winning Derby ticket at a bar in Bismarck has come to an end. Bismarck native Bradley King was asking for help to find Ed, the owner of the more than $600 winning ticket. Daniela Hurtado was at Lucky's for their reunion tonight.
Your point was the same place they met for the first time on Saturday at the same table right here at Lucky's in Bismarck. Brad brought the ticket, and like Ed says, the rest was history.
Got home and found out that it had stood I just went, oh, am I stupid?
All laughter now as a search for Ed.
That's the pile of tickets.
To give him his ticket
that were there.
comes to a close.
It's just a lot of fun.
King and Ed's story stuck with people in the community.
Just knowing that humanity is still there, it makes everybody feel humble.
King says he did
what you should do.
Ed says he didn't expect it.
But I was just really touched by the energy he put into going like, hey, buddy, you forgot your ticket. Get back here.
A simple gesture by Ed to invite King and his friends to his open table on a visit of the afternoon.
662. Okay.
1, 2,
made him a few $100s richer. And Ed? Well, he's jumping for joy. But can you blame him? Ed and Brad both agree a situation like this is a reminder that there are still good people in the world. In Bismarck, I'm Daniela Hurtado for your news leader.
As for Ed, he gave some of his earnings to the bartenders that served him on Derby Day. And as for Brad, he brought them a bottle as a thank you. Well, coming up, the Chinese tariffs are set to take effect. But what does that mean for U.S. consumers?
And it looks like things are going to be looking better weather-wise in the city of Minot over the next few days. Your forecast is coming up next.
Your latest weather forecast is here on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
We oppose unilateral tariff hikes. There will be no winner in a trade war. This does not serve China's interests, the interests of the United States, nor the interests of the world.
As trade negotiations with China are on the fence, Chinese officials had a message for the United States. But President Trump says they keep renegotiating. So the U.S. is set to increase tariffs on Chinese-made goods from 10 to 25% effective at midnight, covering everything from food to fashion. Kristen Holmes reports on how this affects U.S. consumers.
You see the tariffs we're doing? Because they broke the deal. They broke the deal.
President Trump slamming China and praising an upcoming tariff increase on Chinese-made goods.
We're not going to be taken advantage of anymore. We're not going to pay China $500 billion a year. So we put very heavy tariffs on China as of Friday.
This as the U.S.-China trade talks continue in Washington. Last July, the Trump administration imposed its first round of tariffs on $50 billion of Chinese exports. In September, it added a 10% tariff on approximately $200 billion of additional goods. At midnight tomorrow, those tariffs increase to 25%, increasing the price for things like fish, soybeans, handbags, steel, and more.
On the apparel side, they're going to hit us in our hats, our handbags, our wallets, and they're going to hit us on baseball gloves.
Not on the current list, things like iPhones, televisions, shoes, and toys. But President Trump said tariffs on those popular items are coming soon.
It'll be $325 billion at 25%. And we're starting that paperwork today.
Meaning American consumers will soon be paying more for nearly everything imported from China. In Washington, I'm Kristen Holmes.
In anticipation of these tariff hikes, stocks have been falling all week. The Dow dropped more than 400 points this morning and closed down more than 100 points. And ag producers are feeling the pain of the trade war and are calling for something to be done. They got a chance to voice their concerns to Vice President Mike Pence, who flew into Fargo today to meet with farmers and steelworkers in Minnesota. He touted the new United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, saying it puts American jobs and workers first. He wants to ensure that farms will continue for generations to come and is calling on Congress to finalize the deal. And tensions are rising between the U.S. and North Korea as denuclearization talks are at a standstill. Less than a week after North Korea tested several new weapon systems, projectiles were launched from another region today. And 10 minutes later, the U.S. military test-fired its own rocket from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. Senior officials from South Korea, the U.S., and Japan are meeting in Seoul this week to come up with a unified response to the threat from North Korea. Things are also heating up with Iran, the U.S. deploying a strike force and now imposing new sanctions on Iranian metals after Iran threatened to leave the nuclear deal. One of the Trump administration's top advisors on Iran, Brian Hook, says with the U.S. out of the deal, we have more leverage to keep them from getting nuclear weapons, but describes their threat as, quote, an attempt to hold the world hostage.
What they clearly are trying to do is blackmail European nations to keep Iran in the deal. And Iran is asking for a number of things from Europe as a condition of them staying in the deal.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is urging the UK to stand with us. But Britain says if Iran stays with the deal, so will the European countries. Well, Henry, let's talk some more about that sunshine and warm up this weekend.
Yeah, things are going to be getting better across the region, but for right now, we do have some cloud cover for some. Starting out with our Minot Skywatch camera, overall, a mostly clear sky across the Magic City. The thing can't be said for Williston, though. You still got the cloud cover, some returns of some light wet weather in and around the Williston area, but much of it not reaching the ground. But northeastern Montana, portions there getting in on some light rain. Bismarck, Mandan, not a bad day. It's still rather chilly this evening in Dickinson with the clouds, as you can see, to the north. But I think Dickinson, you are going to remain on the dry side for tonight. The wind, starting out with wind for right now, because not really much wind going on. It hasn't been too bad today. Mostly out of the north, around 5 to 15 miles per hour. But now starting to see more of a southerly wind, a change in the wind for Dickinson. Williston, you've had that southeasterly wind most of the day, 5 to 10. And all of that is going to change and pick up for your Friday into your Saturday. Especially Saturday could be quite windy at times. Breezy for tomorrow with the wind out of the south. But notice what happens on Saturday after the cold front pushes through. We're going to have some blustery conditions at times. Check out your wind gust forecast. We're talking about Saturday morning across western North Dakota, Highway 85 into Montana. Wind gusts possibly nearing 30 miles per hour, and that expands throughout much of the first warn viewing area through Saturday morning into the evening hours. So quite blustery at times on Saturday. Even Friday it's going to be breezy, but Saturday is going to be much worse. Now on top of that, because of the low humidity and the wind we're expecting tomorrow, Fire Weather Watch has been issued for much of south central and southwestern North Dakota, including Bismarck, Dickinson, and Garrison. This will go into effect at 1 o'clock Central Time until 8 Central Time tomorrow evening, and that will likely be upgraded to a red flag warning. As far as that precipitation, I mentioned Roosevelt, Richland, and northern Dawson County, light showers pushing to the south and east. Not expecting anything heavy. Highs for today, mostly in the mid-50s. Right now, 50 in Williston, 49 for Bismarck, Minot's at 45, and 42 for Dickinson. As far as that precipitation we got right now across the west, that's where it's going to stay, but a little bit of that may make its way into northwestern North Dakota. Warm front pushes in tomorrow, the wind picks up, and behind the warm front, that's where the shower activity comes into play, but tomorrow's going to be a bit on the breezy side. Morning lows starting out slightly above freezing, but then notice as we get into the lunchtime hour, we're nearing that 60-degree mark, and the wind becomes southerly for everyone and is averaging 15 to 20 miles per hour. Precipitation chances come to play across Montana for tomorrow during the late afternoon, early evening hours. Then more precipitation expected region-wide for your Saturday, but it's only about 20 to 30% for now. For tonight, lows slightly at or above freezing. Williston, slight chance of showers later on in the day. Same for Montana, starting out in the afternoon, but notice highs are going to be in the 60s. Quickly looking at your 7-day outlook, we're going to be talking about chance of a few showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms with that front on Saturday. Mother's Day, however, is looking great. Highs in the 60s and possibly nearing 80 degrees by Monday.
Well, Bismarck orthodontist is fulfilling a promise to a former patient. His story next. Well, we're wearing green today in support of the Bismarck Cancer Center's Project Hope. Today's focus, the fight against gynecological cancers. Doctors say you can reduce your risk by avoiding smoking and obesity. And after a young Bismarck boy was taken too soon by cancer, an orthodontist is honoring his former patient in a special way. Dustin Hollivet met Hunter Seifert about 8 years ago and made him a promise before he passed.
I kind of always told him I would do something for him, and kind of held me to it, and it was easy to hold me to it, and he just smiled and said, "You better," and so I said I would.
Now, Hollivet is donating 5 free sets of braces to patients who need them. He says he hopes to make it an annual campaign to honor Hunter. And President Donald Trump has made healthcare a top political issue and spoke of his efforts to lower costs. Bipartisan lawmakers have joined him in working to end patients' responsibility for big medical bills when they unknowingly are treated by out-of-network doctors or hospitals. He also touted the first reduction in prescription drug costs in 46 years and says they may allow states to buy them from other countries if they're substantially cheaper. Well, this as the CDC announced the uninsured rate for Americans aged 45 to 64 jumped to 10.3% last year, starting to erase gains from the Affordable Care Act. The rate serves as a gauge for President Trump's impact on health care coverage as his administration seeks to dismantle every aspect of Obamacare in the courts. This marks the first time a government study has shown an increase. Last fall, an investigation found dozens of school supplies with high levels of toxic ingredients. Some offending dry erase markers were found on Amazon, so the Attorney General's office made a deal with the company.
These children's products had illegal levels of lead and cadmium. These metals are toxic and can have serious effects on children's health and well-being. Amazon will no longer allow toxic children's school supplies and jewelry in its marketplace.
Coming up, this baby giraffe got a pair of kicks just for him. Find out why next. A baby giraffe in Seattle had a special pair of shoes made just for him. Woodland Park Zoo employees noticed abnormalities in his rear legs when he was born a week ago, so they designed shoes that fit around his leg like casts to help correct it. Treatment is expected to last several months. Hopefully he does better soon, Henry.
Yeah, hopefully he does. We'll be doing better soon, especially as we get into Mother's Day, but fire danger tomorrow, breezy, a bit windy on Saturday, slight chance of showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms. Mother's Day, mid to upper 60s. Monday, I wish that could be Mother's Day, but Monday, that's when 70s and 80s are going to be here.
Close to 80 already?
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. Happy May. Have a good night.